Hello, and a very warm welcome to this shared moment of peace. Wherever you are, whatever the day has held for you, I invite you now to take a slow, deep breath. Let the noise of the world fade into the background. Let the worries of your heart soften their grip. Let us, for a little while, find a quiet pasture for our souls to rest. Today, I want to talk about one of the most comforting and beloved images in all of human spirituality. It's an image that transcends cultures and eras. It speaks of safety, of guidance, of tender care, and of a deep, personal belonging. I want to talk about the image of a shepherd. Perhaps when you hear that word, a picture comes to mind. Maybe it's a peaceful scene from a children's book, a gentle figure in a robe, a staff in hand, surrounded by fluffy white sheep under a blue sky. It's an image of serenity. In our modern, urbanized world, it can feel a bit distant, a bit romanticized. The reality of ancient shepherding was anything but easy. It was a life of grit, of danger, of constant vigilance, and of profound intimacy between the shepherd and his flock. It is into this rich, earthy, and deeply meaningful world that Jesus of Nazareth spoke one of his most tender and powerful declarations of identity. In the 10th chapter of the Gospel of John, surrounded by controversy and misunderstanding, Jesus used this ancient metaphor to reveal the very nature of his heart. He said, in a voice that was both gentle and strong, "I am the good shepherd." He didn't just say he was a shepherd. He claimed to be the shepherd, the definitive one. And not just any shepherd, but the good shepherd. What does it mean for God to be our shepherd? What does this ancient image say to our modern, anxious hearts? What kind of care does this good shepherd promise? And how do we learn to recognize his voice and follow him through the confusing and sometimes dangerous landscapes of our own lives? This is our journey for today. We will not rush. We will wander through the green pastures of this beautiful metaphor. We will explore the world of the ancient shepherd to understand the depth of Jesus' claim. We will listen to the promises he makes, the safety he offers, and the ultimate price he was willing to pay for his sheep. So let us begin, with open hearts and a quiet spirit, ready to find rest in the care of the Good Shepherd. Section 1. The Shepherd's World. The context of John 10. To truly feel the weight and the warmth of Jesus' words, we must first step out of our modern world and into the world of his listeners. For the people of first century Judea, the image of a shepherd was not a quaint fantasy. It was a central part of their history, their economy, and their spiritual imagination. The land itself was rugged. The hills of Judea were not lush, rolling meadows. They were often dry, rocky, and dangerous. Good pasture and clean water were scarce, and the shepherd had to know the land intimately to find them. Animals, wolves, lions, bears, were a constant threat. Thieves and bandits were also a real danger, ready to prey on a vulnerable flock. The shepherd's life was one of constant 24/7 commitment. He didn't work a 9-to-5 shift. He lived with his sheep. He slept with them in the open, using his own body as a part of the protective barrier of the sheepfold at night. He knew them not as a nameless, woolly mass, but as individuals. He gave them names. He knew which one was prone to wander, which one was timid, which one was injured. His life was defined by a deep, personal, and sacrificial bond with his flock. This image was also woven deeply into the spiritual history of Israel. Their greatest patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were shepherds. Their most revered king, David, began his life as a shepherd boy, and he famously used that experience to write the most beloved poem in the entire Bible, Psalm 23. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." So, when the people heard the word shepherd applied to God, it resonated with 1,000 years of history. It spoke of God's guidance, His provision, His protection, and His intimate, personal care for His people Israel. The prophets too had used this metaphor. They spoke of Israel's leaders as failed shepherds who had scattered and abused the flock. And they spoke of a future promise, a time when God Himself would come to be their true shepherd, to gather His lost sheep and care for them perfectly. This is the rich soil in which Jesus planted His statement. He spoke these words, as recorded in John chapter 10, in Jerusalem, during the Feast of Dedication, which we know today as Hanukkah. It was a time of great nationalistic fervor, celebrating the rededication of the temple after it had been defiled. The air was thick with religious and political tension. Jesus had just healed a man born blind, an act that had enraged the religious leaders, the Pharisees. They saw themselves as the shepherds of Israel, the gatekeepers of the faith. And Jesus had just challenged their authority, accusing them of being spiritually blind themselves. It is in this heated atmosphere of confrontation that Jesus begins to speak in a parable. He talks about a sheepfold, a pen where the sheep are kept safe at night. He describes how the true shepherd enters by the gate, while a thief or a robber tries to climb in another way. He says the gatekeeper opens the gate for the shepherd, and the sheep listen to the shepherd's voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. The Pharisees, John tells us, did not understand what he was telling them. They heard the story, but they missed the spiritual meaning. So, Jesus, with his characteristic patience, begins to explain it directly. And he does so by making two profound "I am" statements that are inextricably linked. First, he says, "I am the gate for the sheep." And then, a few verses later, he makes the climactic declaration we are focusing on today. "I am the good shepherd." To understand the shepherd, we must first understand the gate. Section 2, I am the gate, the entrance to safety. Before he identifies himself as the shepherd, Jesus makes this first, crucial claim. "Very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep." This might seem like a strange metaphor to us, but it would have been immediately understandable to his listeners. There were two kinds of sheepfolds in ancient Israel. There were communal sheepfolds in the villages, which had a strong wooden door and a designated doorkeeper. But when a shepherd was out in the wilderness, far from home, he would often construct a temporary, makeshift sheepfold for the night. This was typically a circular enclosure made of rocks, stones, and thorny branches, with a single, narrow opening. At night, the shepherd would lead his flock into this enclosure, and then he himself would lie down in that opening. His own body became the gate. No sheep could get out, and no predator could get in without going through him. He was the living, breathing door. He was the protector, the guarantor of their safety, the sole point of access. When Jesus says, "I am the gate," he is claiming this role for himself. He is the one and only entrance into the place of true safety, true belonging, and true communion with God. He immediately contrasts himself with those who came before him, who were thieves and robbers. He is likely referring to the corrupt religious leaders and false messiahs who had tried to exploit the people of Israel for their own gain. They were not legitimate shepherds. They didn't come through the proper gate. They climbed the walls. Their goal was not to care for the sheep, but to steal and kill and destroy. They were users, not lovers, of the flock. Then, Jesus makes a promise about his function as the gate. He says, "Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture." Let's unpack that beautiful promise. First, whoever enters through me will be saved. Saved here means rescued from danger. It is through Jesus, and Jesus alone, that we are brought into the safety of God's flock. He is the one who stands between us and the dangers that threaten our souls, the danger of our own sin, the danger of judgment, the danger of being lost and alone. To come into the fold through him is to be made secure, to be brought into a place of ultimate safety. Second, they will come in and go out. This doesn't mean they will wander away from the flock. It is an ancient Hebrew expression for a life of freedom and security. Coming in represents the safety and rest of being in the fold at night. Going out represents the freedom and purpose of being led out to pasture during the day. It's a picture of a life that is both secure and free. It's not the restrictive safety of a prison, but the secure freedom of a cherished home. In Christ, we find both a rest for our souls and a purpose for our lives. We have a safe place to return to and a meaningful journey to embark on each day. And third, and find pasture. The ultimate goal of the shepherd is not just to keep the sheep locked up, but to lead them to nourishment. As the gate, Jesus is the entrance to a life of spiritual sustenance. He is the one who leads us to the green pastures and quiet waters that our souls long for. He is the access point to a life that is truly satisfying, a life that is nourished by the presence of God. So, before he is the shepherd who leads us, he is the gate who saves us. He is the entrance. He is the boundary between the dangerous wilderness and the safe fold. He is the one we must go through to find salvation, security, freedom, and sustenance. It is an exclusive claim, yes. He is the gate, not a gate. But it is also a wonderfully inclusive invitation. The gate is open to whoever will enter. Section 3. I am the Good Shepherd, the noble protector. Having established himself as the only legitimate entrance into God's flock, Jesus now deepens the metaphor and reveals his heart. He says, I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The word Jesus uses for good here is the Greek word kalos. This word doesn't just mean good in a moral sense, like the opposite of bad. It means something much richer. It means noble, excellent, beautiful, worthy of admiration. It describes something that is good in its very essence, that perfectly fulfills its purpose. So when Jesus says he is the kalos shepherd, he is saying he is the ideal, the perfect, the beautiful shepherd, the one who embodies everything a shepherd ought to be. And what is the defining characteristic of this kalos shepherd? He lays down his life for the sheep. This is the ultimate test. This is where the true shepherd is separated from everyone else. To make this point crystal clear, Jesus introduces a contrasting figure, the hired hand. He says, the hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away, Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. The hired hand is a compelling and tragic figure. He is not necessarily evil, just uninvested. He does the job for the wages. He might be perfectly competent on a normal day. He can lead the sheep to pasture. He can find water. But his relationship with the sheep is transactional. He is motivated by self-preservation. When the real danger comes, when the wolf appears, he does a quick cost-benefit analysis. Is my life worth more than these sheep? The answer is always yes. So he runs. He abandons the flock because at the end of the day, they are not his. His commitment has a limit, and that limit is the point where it becomes personally costly. We all know what it's like to be treated by a hired hand. It's the indifferent customer service agent, the teacher who is just putting in their time, the leader who is more concerned with their own career than with the people they are leading. It's a relationship without love, without a covenant bond. Jesus places himself in stark opposition to this. He is not a hired hand. He is the owner of the sheep. But he is more than just the owner. He is the lover of the sheep. His commitment is not transactional. It is relational. His motivation is not self-preservation, but self-sacrifice. When he sees the wolf coming, he does not run. He stands his ground. He places himself between the flock and the danger, and he lays down his life. The wolf here can be seen as a symbol for all the destructive forces that threaten us. It is the power of sin. It is the reality of evil in the world. It is the finality of death. These are the enemies that come to scatter and destroy us. And Jesus, the Good Shepherd, did not run from them. On the cross, he stood his ground. He faced the full fury of the wolf and absorbed its attack into himself. He took the teeth of sin and death into his own body so that we, his sheep, could go free. This is what makes him the kalos shepherd. His goodness is not a gentle, passive sentimentality. It is a fierce, courageous, and sacrificial love. It is a love that is proven not in the peaceful pasture, but in the valley of the shadow of death, in the face of the ravenous wolf. He is the Good Shepherd because his love has no limits. He values the lives of his sheep above his own. And this profound, self-sacrificing love is the heart of his identity and the foundation of our security. Section 4. The shepherd knows his sheep. The voice of intimacy. There is another crucial distinction Jesus makes between himself as the Good Shepherd and the hired hand. It is the distinction of relationship, of mutual, intimate knowledge. He says, "I am the Good Shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep." Let's not rush past that. The knowledge he speaks of is sandwiched between the two greatest acts of love imaginable: his perfect communion with God the Father and his sacrificial death for us. The knowledge he has of us is of that same quality and depth. I know my sheep. In our world of big data and social media, we can feel like a number, a statistic, a face in the crowd. But the Good Shepherd knows his sheep individually. The original language for know here is ginosko. It doesn't mean a superficial intellectual knowledge of facts. It implies a deep, experiential, relational intimacy. It's the same word used to describe the most intimate bond between a husband and a wife. He knows you. He knows your name. He knows your story. with all its joys and its sorrows, its strengths and its weaknesses. He knows the secret fears you've never told anyone. He knows the quiet hopes you barely dare to admit to yourself. He knows your unique personality, the way you laugh, the things that make you anxious. You are not just one of a flock of billions to him. You are known, completely and perfectly. And you are loved, completely and perfectly, in that knowing. He doesn't just know about you, he knows you. And the relationship is mutual. And my sheep know me. This is the other side of that beautiful bond. How do the sheep know their shepherd? Jesus has already told us in the parable that opened this chapter. They know his voice. He says, he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. They will follow him because they recognize his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. In the ancient Near East, shepherds had a unique call for their flock. At a communal well, several flocks might be mingled together, drinking water. When it was time to leave, a shepherd would stand up and give his specific call. His sheep, and only his sheep, would separate themselves from the crowd and come to him. They were attuned to the sound of his voice. They trusted it. They knew it meant safety, guidance, and provision. This is a beautiful picture of the life of faith. The world is a noisy place. There are so many voices calling for our attention, so many strangers offering us paths to happiness that often lead to danger. There is the voice of ambition, the voice of fear, the voice of materialism, the voice of despair. Learning to be a sheep of the Good Shepherd is a process of learning to distinguish his voice from all the others. How do we learn to recognize his voice? We do it the same way the sheep did, by spending time with him. We learn the tone of his voice as we read his words in the scriptures. The Bible is not just a book. It is a place where we hear the shepherd's voice recorded for us. We learn the character of his voice, its gentleness, its truthfulness, its love, its authority. We also learn his voice in the quiet of prayer and contemplation, as we practice stilling our own noisy hearts and listening for his gentle guidance. We recognize his voice in the wise counsel of other believers, in the beauty of creation, in the circumstances of our lives that nudge us in a certain direction. Over time, as we walk with him, we become more and more attuned to him. We begin to recognize the sound of his leading, which is always in harmony with the character he has revealed in his word. This is the intimacy he offers. He knows us by name, and he invites us to know him so well that we can recognize his voice in a crowd and trust him enough to follow wherever he leads, confident that the one who knows us so perfectly will only ever lead us to places of goodness and life. Section 5. The Other Sheep. One flock, one shepherd. In the midst of this deeply personal discourse about his relationship with his flock, Jesus says something that must have been startling and perhaps even confusing to his Jewish listeners. He expands the horizon of his love in a dramatic and unexpected way. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. Let's understand the context. The sheep pen he is referring to is the nation of Israel. For centuries, they had been God's chosen covenant people. They were the flock he had been shepherding through the patriarchs, through Moses, through the prophets. The disciples and the crowd listening to Jesus that day were all part of this sheep pen. Their religious and national identity was built on this unique relationship with God. Now, Jesus declares that his mission is bigger than they had imagined. He has other sheep. These are the Gentiles, the non-Jewish people of the world, the rest of humanity. At this point in history, there was a great wall of separation between Jew and Gentile. But Jesus is announcing that he has come to break down that wall. His love is not exclusive to one ethnic group or one nation. His heart is for the whole world. The phrase, "I must bring them also," speaks of a divine necessity, a divine compulsion. It is not an afterthought. It is an essential part of his mission. The heart of the Good Shepherd yearns for all his lost sheep, scattered across the globe. He is a missionary God, a seeking God, a gathering God. And how will he gather them? They too will listen to my voice. The entrance into this new global flock is the same for everyone. It is not based on heritage or race or adherence to a certain set of cultural laws. It is based on a personal response to the voice of the shepherd. Anyone from any background who hears the call of Jesus and chooses to follow him is brought into the flock. The result of this gathering is a beautiful, radical vision, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. He does not say there will be one sheep pen. The sheep pens, our cultural expressions, our languages, our different forms of worship, may be many and varied. But the flock is one. This is a vision of a new humanity, a family created not by bloodlines or borders, but by a shared allegiance to a single shepherd. The Apostle Paul would later develop this theology beautifully in his letter to the Ephesians, saying that Christ has made the two groups one and has destroyed the barrier, the dividing wall of hostility. His purpose was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two, thus making peace. This is a breathtakingly inclusive vision. The flock of the Good Shepherd is the most diverse community on earth, made up of people from every tribe and language and people and nation. And yet, it is a community united by one thing: the love and lordship of Jesus. This statement is both a promise and a mandate. It is a promise that God's family will be a global, multicultural family. And it is a mandate for those of us who are already in the flock to share the voice of our shepherd with others. It calls us to look beyond our own comfortable sheep pens and to see the world with the shepherd's eyes, to feel his love for the other sheep who have not yet heard his voice. The vision is not of a world forced into a single, homogeneous mold. It is the vision of a beautiful, diverse tapestry of people, all living in harmony under the loving care of one good shepherd. It is a vision of ultimate peace, ultimate unity, and ultimate belonging. Section 6. The shepherd lays down his life and takes it up again. We now come to the very heart of what makes Jesus the kalos, the beautiful, the good shepherd. It is the statement he repeats and expands upon, the act that separates him from every other leader or teacher in history. It is the voluntary, purposeful, and powerful nature of his self-sacrifice. He has already stated that the Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. But now he explains the unique quality of his sacrifice. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. Let's carefully unpack this rich and powerful statement. First, notice the divine motivation. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life. This doesn't mean the Father's love is conditional. It reveals the perfect unity of purpose within the Trinity. The Father's plan of redemption and the Son's willing sacrifice are in perfect, loving harmony. The Son's obedience and self-giving love are profoundly pleasing to the Father. This is a mission of love, undertaken in love, for the sake of love. Second, his death is not the end of the story, only to take it up again. The cross is inseparable from the resurrection. His sacrifice is not a tragic, noble martyrdom that ends in defeat. It is a purposeful death that leads to a triumphant victory over death itself. He lays down his life with the full intention and power to reclaim it. This is crucial. A dead shepherd cannot protect his sheep. A resurrected shepherd can lead his flock for all eternity. Third, his death is voluntary. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. This is a stunning claim. Jesus was not a helpless victim of circumstance. He was not a martyr who was overpowered by the political and religious machinery of his day. From a human perspective, it certainly looked that way. He was arrested, tried, and executed by the Roman authorities. But Jesus is revealing a deeper, spiritual reality. He was in complete control, even in the moment of his apparent weakness. He was willingly, purposefully, and actively laying down his life. He chose the nails. He chose the cross. He chose to die. It was an act of sovereign, loving will. Fourth, his power is absolute. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. The word for authority here is exousia, which means sovereign power, the right and the might. He possesses within himself the power over life and death. This is a claim to divinity. No mere human has the authority to take up their own life after it has been lost. Jesus is claiming to be the source of life itself, a life so powerful that even the grave cannot contain it. This completely reframes the crucifixion. It was not the tragic end of a good man. It was the strategic, loving act of the Good Shepherd, willingly entering the wolf's den to rescue his sheep, armed with the full knowledge that he had the power to defeat the wolf and lead his sheep out into everlasting safety. This is the foundation of our faith and our security. We follow a shepherd who not only died for us, but who rose again for us. Our shepherd is alive. He has conquered our greatest enemies, sin and death. Because he laid down his life, our sins are forgiven. Because he took it up again, we are guaranteed eternal life and a shepherd who will never leave us. The hired hand runs from the wolf to save himself. The Good Shepherd lays down his life to save his sheep. His sacrifice is not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate expression of his authority and his love. And his resurrection is the ultimate proof that he is who he says he is. The Good Shepherd, the Lord of life, the one who can lead his flock safely through the valley of the shadow of death and into the house of the Lord forever. Section 7. The Shepherd's Care. What does he provide? If Jesus is our Good Shepherd, what does that mean for us in the practical, day-to-day experience of our lives? The The metaphor is not just a beautiful theological concept. It is a promise of real, tangible care. The most famous description of this care is found in the Shepherd's Psalm, Psalm 23. Let's walk through it, seeing how Jesus, as the Good Shepherd, fulfills and deepens every line of this beloved poem. First, the shepherd provides provision and rest. Psalm 23 begins, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters." The primary job of a shepherd is to find food and water for his sheep. Sheep are not good at finding these things for themselves. They are prone to panic and will not drink from rushing, turbulent water. The shepherd must lead them to places of sustenance and peace. The Good Shepherd knows the deepest needs of our souls. He knows our hunger for meaning, our thirst for peace. He is the one who leads us to the green pastures of His grace and the quiet waters of His presence. To follow Him is to be led to a place of deep spiritual nourishment and rest for our souls. He promises to provide not always what we want, but always what we truly need. He invites us to stop our frantic, anxious striving and to lie down, to rest in the sufficiency of His care. Second, the shepherd provides restoration and guidance. The psalm continues, "He restores my soul. He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake." Sheep get dirty. They can get cast, which is when they roll over onto their backs and cannot get up again. If left alone, they will die. The shepherd must gently roll them back over and set them on their feet. This is a picture of restoration. We all wander. We fall. We get spiritually cast by sin, by grief, by despair. The Good Shepherd does not abandon us. He seeks us out. He gently cleanses us, and He restores our souls. He sets us back on our feet. And then He guides us. He doesn't just save us and leave us to find our own way. He leads us along the right paths. These are the paths of wisdom, of holiness, of love. And He does this for His name's sake, because He is the Good Shepherd, and His reputation is tied to the well-being of His flock. His guidance is a promise rooted in His own character. Third, the shepherd provides presence and protection. The psalm moves to its most famous lines. "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me." The shepherd must sometimes lead his flock through dark, dangerous ravines to get from one pasture to another. This is the darkest valley, or the valley of the shadow of death. It represents the most difficult, frightening times in our lives. Times of grief, of illness, of doubt, of intense trial. The promise is not that we will never have to go through these valleys. The promise is that we will not go through them alone. For You are with me. The presence of the shepherd changes everything. His rod was a heavy club used to fight off predators. It is a symbol of His power to protect us from evil. His staff was a long pole with a crook at the end, used to rescue sheep from danger and to gently nudge them in the right direction. It is a symbol of His guidance and His gentle care. In our darkest moments, we are not abandoned. The Good Shepherd is with us, protecting us with His power and comforting us with His nearness. Finally, the shepherd provides abundant welcome and an eternal home. The psalm ends with a shift in imagery from the pasture to the home. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is a picture of lavish hospitality and vindication. Even in the midst of our struggles, in the presence of my enemies, the shepherd provides a feast. He honors us, anoints my head with oil. He blesses us beyond measure. My cup overflows. His goodness and love, in Hebrew, hesed, or covenant faithfulness, are not just waiting for us at the end of the journey. They pursue us. They follow me all the days of my life. And the final destination is secure. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The journey with the shepherd leads to an eternal home in his presence. This is the ultimate security, the ultimate belonging. Provision, rest, restoration, guidance, presence, protection, and an eternal home. This is the comprehensive, moment-by-moment, lifelong care that the Good Shepherd offers to his sheep. Section 8. Listening for the Voice, a concluding reflection. We began our journey today in the rugged hills of ancient Judea, listening to a conversation between Jesus and a confused, hostile crowd. And we end here, in the quiet pasture of our own hearts, pondering what it means to be one of his sheep. We have seen that this is not a metaphor about our weakness, but about his strength. It's not about our aimlessness, but about his perfect guidance. It's not about our vulnerability, but about his fierce, sacrificial protection. To be a sheep of the Good Shepherd is to be in the safest place in the universe. It means that we are personally and intimately known by the Creator of all things. He knows our name. He knows our needs. He knows our fears. We are not a nameless face in a crowd to him. It means that we have a shepherd who is also the gate. He is our exclusive entrance into salvation, a life of secure freedom and spiritual nourishment. It means that we have a shepherd whose goodness is not a weak sentiment, but a kalos goodness, a beautiful, noble, and courageous love that was willing to stand between us and the wolf and lay down its own life. It means that we have a shepherd who is alive. He did not remain dead, but took up his life again, and now leads his flock as a triumphant, resurrected Lord who has conquered our greatest enemies. It means that we belong to a global flock, a beautiful, diverse family gathered from every nation on earth, united by the sound of a single shepherd's voice. And it means that in our daily journey, he is with us. He provides for us and gives us rest. He restores us when we fall and guides us when we are lost. He walks beside us in the darkest valleys, protecting and comforting us with his presence. And he is leading us, surely and certainly, to an eternal home. The life of faith, then, can be simplified to this: learning to listen for the shepherd's voice and trusting him enough to follow where he leads. The world is full of other voices, loud and demanding, that promise happiness and fulfillment. They are the voices of strangers. They often lead to anxiety, to emptiness, to dangerous places. But amidst that noise, there is another voice. It is a voice that speaks not with coercion, but with gentle invitation. It is a voice that calls us by name. It is a voice that speaks peace to our fears and offers rest to our weary souls. It is the voice of the Good Shepherd. The question he leaves with us today is not, "Are you good enough to be in my flock?" but simply, will you listen to my voice? Will you trust me? Will you follow me? May we have the wisdom to tune our ears to the sound of his voice. May we have the courage to follow him, even when the path is uncertain. And may we find our ultimate peace, our ultimate safety, and our ultimate joy in the loving, everlasting care of the Good Shepherd. Thank you for sharing this quiet time of reflection. May you go forth from this place with a renewed sense of the Shepherd's loving presence in your life. May you feel his guidance, his protection, and his profound, personal